companions and their students. And what we can take from this, few things. So the first thing is that we can conclude from this overview that the narration of hadith is much more in a city than other cities, which is here we're talking about just these three cities. So where we can find the scholarly activities, so the hadith narration, the activity of the of narrating the hadith, it's more in Medina more than any other places. This is because, as we said, as it was the capital of the new Islamic empire, and Umar ibn al-Khattab, especially what the Caliph Umar radiallahu anh did, his policy is not to allow any companion to leave Medina unless if there is an excuse for this. So Umar will let them go outside Medina. Otherwise, they have to sit within the Al-Madina. This is where we have the narration of hadith there was very active, more than Al-Basra and Al-Kufa. Same thing, then some active companions were in certain places, like Abdullah ibn Mas'ud in Al-Kufa. The second point that we can conclude from this is the more active student you'll have, the more active city it will be. And we've seen this with the student of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud in particular, and the student of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. And the Kufa, so these, for example, is Medina is the first in terms of the students, and they were actually dedicated to the study of the hadith itself. So the students in Kufa were more active and more committed to this new task, that narrating the hadith, more than the students of Basra and even students of Medina. Another thing that one of our scholars, Ibn Sa'd, mentioned is quite very important. He said, he actually noticed that in Al-Basra, usually we have the Bedouins. They came to Basra and they settled there. But in Al-Kufa, no. We had tribes from Iraq. You know, sometimes when we talk about Arabs, by the way, and this is the stereotyping of the Arabs before Islam, we think of desert and Bedouins and tents. This is not the case, by the way, because there were actually civilizations in Yemen, a great civilization in Yemen, a king and kind of activities in architecture, in science, and everything. In Iraq, we used to have these Muluk al-Hira, the kings of al-Hira. Yeah, they're very active, and they had these great palaces. And then we have, and we have in Iraq, we have in Damascus too. Those who used to live there, they moved, most of them, they moved to Kufa. So they came from a city, as if you know these cosmopolitan cities, these like multicultural, like London. So they moved to Kufa, and the rest of the Bedouin they moved to Al-Basra. So it was logic that we can see these scholarly activities is just developed quickly in Kufa more than Al-Basra, because if you bring a Bedouin to a city, it's very difficult for this Bedouin to get use of it's like this great poet during the Abbasid period, who came to this Baghdad at the time. It was better than London now or New York. When he settled there, and he wanted to praise the Caliph, so he wrote a poem, piece of poem, but he brought actually his concepts, his own concepts from the Bedouin. So he was going to praise the king. And what he was telling to the king, you are like a dog. Because for them, a dog is a symbol of what? Of loyalty, serving others. A lot of things. A dog there in the Bedouin, this is what the Arabs, they have 70 names to dogs. 70 names. Not only one, not only two, not 10, not 20, 70 names. For a dog, yeah. Because, yeah, we see now, dog now is different now. But at that time, they really appreciate a dog and its characters. So he praised the Caliph, and people, they want to kill him. And so the Caliph, actually, he himself, Al-Mu'tasim, he himself from the Badia. So he said, just leave him. What you need to do, let him live in Baghdad for 3 months and let him back. So he lived there, and he back with a masterpiece in poetry. Those maybe who know about this, his name is Ali ibn al-Jahm. Maybe those who know Arabic, they know. It's such an amazing piece. Like now, students are taking Shakespeare. Same in secondary school, we take this piece of poetry from Ali ibn al-Jahm. He just lived 3 months and then he changed his concept. So that's the same thing for those people who came from Badia, Bedouin, settled there in Al-Basra. It took them a long time to adapt the new life. Those people who settled in Kufa now, they came from Iraq, and Damascus, Syria, Levantine, the Levant area. So they knew about all these things. Quickly they established these scholarly activities and so on. This is very important, by the way, in terms why hadith was very active in Kufa more than Al-Basra. However, things then changed. The people of Basra became more committed to, but it took them 70 years to change the balance. Basra became a center of knowledge, not Al-Kufa. So this is why then we understand the first comment we mentioned is 3 weeks ago, that 2/3 of the chain of narration of hadith comes from these 3 cities. 2/3. So we're talking about 68% of the hadith comes from Medina, Mecca, and Al-Kufa. And the second thing, we mentioned is that some companions who lived there, they die at a later date, which is, we're talking about 57 onwards, 57 of Hijrah onwards. So they had the time to give all what they transmitted from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, such as Aisha radiallahu anha, Anas ibn Malik, we mentioned Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, and so on. Another thing we should mention here, and we mentioned this before, but just to try to wrap up everything here, is how the families actually were used to narrate from each other. And we had the case of Sa'id ibn Musayyib. We said he is the son-in-law of Abu Huraira. He is the husband of his daughter. So he took everything. Urwa ibn Zubayr, who is the nephew of Aisha radiallahu anha. So all these, played a great role in spreading the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in those cities. From this, the scholars of hadith, they talk about certain aspects, followed these scholarly activities in each Medina. They talk about which is the best city in terms of the sound of this narration. Which narration is sound? Is the narration of Kufa, Basra, Medina, and they talk about, later on, they talk about what is the best chain. It comes from which students of these companions. So they said it's hardly to find a liar, kadhab, in Medina. Difficult. You don't, within the narrators of Medina, we have, this is an agreement. Part of our belief, we have to clarify this, and we clarified this before, but we need to clarify this again. Part of the belief of Al-Sunnah that all the companions are, we say, just udul. So we cannot say that a Sahabi is lying. We don't say this. However, in other sects you may see this, but this is the belief of the Al-Sunnah. But this to consider and to check whether this Sahabi is lying, yes or no, now we don't discuss this. And if we understand from the Aisha, and we said this, that he said kadhaba Abu Huraira, is lying, it's not in this case. This is not the case of kadhaba. We said kadhaba in this context and the language of Quraysh, it means he made a mistake. He's wrong, not he's lying. He's wrong. We didn't get this right, so he's wrong. So now we're moving now to the next level of tabi'un, successors. And here we have to check whether this tabi'i, all the students of tabi'in, are liars or not. So within the school of Medina is hardly yet to find one or two in school of Medina. Then the second category is Basra. Then the third one, where you have quite a lot of trouble, comes from Kufa. And the reason why, because so many calamities happened there, and so many incidents. You know, it started with Shia. They started there. The sect of Shia started in Kufa, and so many other groups and sects that were very active in Kufa. So the scholars of Hadith, they developed a method to ask about the narrations and to say that these particular students, be careful. So you have to check their hadith. Do not take hadith from these people, from this group, from that clan, from that tribe. And this is what I said this, if you remember, once Imam Malik, when he made this comment, that's referring to what he inherited. He said, يخرج الحديث منا شبرا فيذهب إلى العراق ويرجع إلينا ذراعا. So this is what, if al hadith, Imam Malik would narrate hadith just inch, few words, this is shibr, inch. And then this hadith, the transmitters will take to the hadith to the Iraq. And then the hadith back again, dhira'. If it's 5 centimeters, then it will be back 30 centimeters, which means fabrication. So many things will be added to the hadith itself. And Muhammad ibn al-Hasan, the great student of Abu Hanifa, got angry because he's Iraqi himself. So he's accusing his people, accusing his city. You're liars. Yeah, we have to. And he gave him that example where I told you we don't want. Although the story, it's not sound. There's some herbs there, spicy. But yeah, the principle is there. So the principle is there. So Mecca or Medina, it's a list in terms of, and we will see later on that you will be very surprised. For example, like sect of Al-Khawarij, some of you may know about the Kharijites. People of Hadith, they take Hadith from them. They take Hadith from them because for them to lie is a big sin, is a major sin, is kabira. Is one of the kaba'ir for them, for this sect. One of their principles, al-kadhibu kabiratu min al-kaba'ir. And in their beliefs, in their view, if anyone who commits a great sin, then he will be in the hellfire forever. مخلد في النار. This is not the view of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. We are against this. For them, Ahlul Hadith agreed that you cannot find the liar within the Khawarij. No. So they take hadith from them easily. Although they are a people of bid'ah. And this is, we will talk about this maybe in weeks, inshallah. That's the differences, different opinions among al-hadith, whether you accept from these people or not. But in al-Bukhari, you have hadith narrated from someone, one of the great leaders of al-Khawarij, Imran ibn Hittan. Imran ibn Hittan, who is a great scholar of the Khawarij, and he composed a lines of poetry praising the killer of Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, Abdurrahman ibn Muljim. This is the worst of the worst, shaitan. He killed the best of the best, Ali ibn Abi Talib. So he composed 2 lines, praising him. He said that a pious man, out of his piety, he killed an evil man, referring to Ali radiallahu anhu, just to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And many of our scholars refute these 2 lines of poem in long poems. One of the famous, actually, one, and the best one is by Hamad al-Taharti. Taharti is a city in west of Algeria. Hamad al-Taharti died in 270 of Hijrah. He composed 70 lines refuting this leader. He said, فَلَا عَفَى اللَّهُ عَنْهُ مَا تَحَمَّلَهُ. May Allah not forgive this Imam ibn Hattan. فَلَا عَفَى اللَّهُ this Abdurrahman ibn Muljim, the killer of Ali. فَلَا عَفَى اللَّهُ عَنْهُ مَا تَحَمَّلَهُ وَلَا سَقَى قَبْرَ عِمْرَانَ ibn Hittan. May Allah have not mercy on the grave of Imran ibn Hittan. لِقَوْلِهِ, because he said, لِقَوْلِهِ فِي شَقِيٍّ ظَلَّ, because he said such and such on this. So why I'm saying this, and then if you go to al-Bukhari, you'll find the hadith narrated from this guy. Why? Because he never ever lied. And you can see here this method. So there is no room for, no, because he's not from our sect. No, we're not going to relate from him. No. So you see that these people of Ahl Hadith are following an exact science there, a method. If someone does not lie, we can take from him. That's the criteria. And of course, other points. But one of the criteria is to have not to lie, not a liar. So for them, they can say, no, he's from Al-Khawarij. We cannot relate our hadith with Ahl Sunnah. How can we relate from Al-Khawarij?
Just a bit of clarification. When you are narrating the chain about this category from Medina, you first said about Kufar Hassan before the Bedouin after 70 years when they gained that knowledge now become the second. The question I want to ask
Change it, yeah.
Within that period of 70 years, was there no hadith that
No, there was hadith, but just, it's like, now this, I don't know, you may talk about a city in a certain country that it's a cultural city, and then suddenly after 2 decades, 3 decades, it changes. Another city will take over, And that's all ranking of universities. You have Cambridge the first, and then next year you have Oxford, and then next year you have UCL, and then, so it's just companies that same.
what I mean is, did they not narrate any hadith within that period?
No, they did. No, they did, but less. Less. Yeah, of course. It's less. Yeah. But we said, how much can we get from this city? So Kufa was very active, more than Al-Basra itself. During that period, yes, we're talking about till the 150. And then things will change it. We will see later on how things will happen. So here you won't find much liars, those who fabricate hadith. This is what lying is, to fabricate hadith simply. To just get, I heard the Prophet ﷺ said so and so. What, he didn't hear anything. Someone wants to do something for his party, from his group. Someone wants to sell kind of vegetables, fruits. It's not selling, that they can fabricate hadith. Yeah, this has happened. It happened, yeah. And we will see, inshallah, in the future. So, this is the reality. In Mecca, in Medina, no. in Al-Basra, fixed narrations, so we know that the students of so-and-so are very strict, they don't lie, yeah. And in Kufa, again, is less. The fabrication of hadith became very active in the 3rd century. So we're talking about the beginning of the end of 199. That's what was everywhere. It started here and there, but by the end of this century, which is the 2nd century and the beginning of the 3rd century, then that's where the fabrication of hadith started. And we cannot find much liars at the time of tabi'in, successors. That's another thing. So successors were nearly at the level of the companions themselves, radiyallahu anhu. Again, to say that someone to lie is to lie by intention. This is the definition for the muhaddithun. And to make a mistake, this is not a lie, by the way. This is just to make a mistake. But to lie is to fabricate hadith, to invent a hadith, and to relay this hadith to the Prophet ﷺ for different reasons. Second thing, one of the aspects of from these cities that they have in the hadith. In the hadith, we have a term. We will see it later on. They call tadlis. Tadlis. So ta dal lam ya sin. If you write in transliteration in English, it will be T-A-D-L-I-S. Tadlis. Tadlis means, we'll come back to this, but briefly, very briefly, is to hide the defects in the hadith, whether in the narration itself, on the wording of hadith. For example, someone may say that he narrates, so you have like a chain has 5, you should have 5 people, 5 narrators. And then, so the first one, which is the one who's going to narrate, he said, I heard so and so from so and so, and then he would omit 2 narrators to get higher chain. And sometimes these 2, why he maybe omit, you may say, is too long. So if I say I'm going to narrate from Muhammad here, and then I would narrate from Muhammad, narrates from Mustafa. And Mustafa would say it from Mahidin. And we live at the same time. For me, it was better for me to go straight to Mahidin, because at the same time, they call this ulu al-isnad, to get a higher chain. I don't need to go through Muhammad and then you go to Mustafa and then back to Mahidin, where I can get to Mahidin. But for some reasons, I couldn't get access to Mahidin for different reasons. I don't know. Maybe that he traveled. I traveled to Kufa. I cannot find him there, where he was in battles, in whatever. So I had to relate this hadith. حدثني Muhammad عن Mustafa and عن Mahidin. So for me, because we live at the same time, I can omit these 2, and I can say the hadith is just from Mahidin and omit this. If we have, for example, a tabi'i, he cannot omit sahabi, because we say, this is tabi'i, this sahabi is a long time. How can he narrate from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? If we say Imam Malik narrates from the Prophet, how? That everyone knows there. This is tadlis. Tadlis is a defect that only the experts would know this, not everyone. So this is tadlis was very common in Basra, very common, and that's what tadlis it has again. And this is just to simplify this, but this is kind of a tadlis. So for me, I don't know. I know that all of us, four of us, we lived at the same time. So as a scholar, as an expert, I would, as someone who's from outside from this, I would, say, Muhammad may narrate states of Muhammad because they live. But for someone who's expert, no. When Muhammad came to Kufa, Muhyiddin was in Basra. How can he met him there? No, he met Muhammad. And Muhammad wasn't there. Muhammad, he narrates from Mustafa. This is the expertise. Because Imam Yahya ibn Ma'in, the great Imam, he said, we smell the defect, we smell the tadlis. That's why he used literally this, nashummuhu. He said, how do you know this? Because he said, nashummuhu. It's like, when you're taking shortcut, if you take someone to London, there to this, and you shortcut, did you get this? You don't know until, now alhamdulillah we have, even you can defeat Google Maps and all this, someone who knows the shortcut. That's the same, that's the same for these scholars. Basra had this disease, tadlis, was very common. So one of the, that led scholars to invent new things, to get rid of this tadlis, and to find first these hidden defects in the narrations. Another aspect of this will help us also to know, it helped the reader to know the impact of each city on other regions in the Muslim world. So Kufa had a great impact on schools and students from Khurasan. Khurasan was very well-known region, a region of knowledge for centuries and centuries. Now Khurasan is between the east of Iran and the west of Afghanistan. It's a very active area which produced many scholars, thousands and thousands of scholars in every single field, by the way. And it's very well known. So Khurasan now, there is a great province in Iran, which is the east of Iran, and the west of Afghanistan. So this is the whole region of Khurasan. You can Google it and you can see it in the map. It's also an amazing region. And later on it changed when those old region, it used to be Sunni, but in the 10th century it turns the whole region into a Shia majority for different reasons. We may mention this in the future, inshallah. So why Al-Kufa had this impact, in particular on Khurasan? Why? Because those who conquered Khurasan, they took Islam there, were from Al-Kufa. Simply. So the whole army with Al-Muhalla ibn Abi Sufra, the great military leader of the Umayyad, he used to get people from Al-Kufa with him to get for Al-Futuhat, to conquer all these places in Afghanistan. Afghanistan was actually conquered by a very young chap, as we say now, who's Muhammad ibn al-Qasim al-Thaqafi, who was 17 years old, by the way. He was just 17 years old. And he led the great army. And he got rid of all these mushrikeen in Afghanistan and Pakistan. And this. Muhammad, I remember this name, Muhammad ibn al-Qasim al-Thaqafi, 17 years old. Some scholars said 15 years old. He was 17. And he was the nephew of the great leader, Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf Thaqafi, the great major, the general major of the Umayyad. And then all the army, yeah, were from Kufa. So this is where they had this impact. People of Medina, Madrasa of Medina, had a great impact on North Africa and Andalusia. This is what in North Africa, West Africa, Maghreb, all of them belong to the school of Malikite. Yeah, they always, it has been like the whole of Africa, not only just recently, maybe 18th, 16th century, you have some Shafi'is in Somalia, but the whole of Africa just belongs to the Maliki school, the Medinan school, the whole of Africa, and the Spain and Portugal, what it is to be Andalusia, and part of Egypt. The same thing. Why the impact of most also of those who went to North Africa, went to down to the Senegal, what they used to call the Sahel, yeah, what now is known as Sahel. Most of them are from students of Al-Medina, yeah, School of Medina. Basra, it doesn't have much effect, by the way, in other cities, except surrounding of Al-Basra. Based on these, then there will be two main schools appeared in the Muslim world from that period. Because of this, what's happening, in Al-Basra we have so many liars, Kufa and so many liars, and we have to check, in Medina you don't have this at all. You just bring hadith and you narrate from someone, take it easy, no worries, it's sahih. But the Basra you have to think twice and to use your own intellect and so on. And there emerge two main schools. We say Madrasatu Ra'i wa Madrasatu Al-Athar. So Ra'i is an opinion, which is ijtihad. Of course, we don't underestimate, we don't say, for example, that this is what I said 3 weeks ago, that because of this, people may say Abu Hanifa doesn't know anything about hadith. He just memorized, some they claim he just memorized 15 hadith. Terrible, 15 hadith, a child can memorize it. Such a great Imam say, no, Abu Hanifa doesn't know anything about hadith. And you hear these, and I was hearing this now, especially now, because everyone can say, it doesn't make sense, even make sense that anyone now, we know more than 15 hadith. Yeah, we are not Abu Hanifas, but we know more than 15 hadith. And how can this is from this opinion that he was the leader of the Madrasatul Ra'i, which is the school of Ra'i here means doing ijtihad, yeah, using the intellect rather than rely on the nusus, on the book and the fiqh, the Quran and hadith. He would use, of course, because he said, where did you get this? And then they think, okay, he met him, he didn't, and so on. So that's what the school emerged from this place. And the school of Medina was school of Athar, school of fiqh, school of hadith. That's it. There is no room for a ra'i, for the opinion. However, again, to say this in general, generalizing this is not correct at all. So it doesn't. Malik, he used to use ra'i, and Abu Hanifa used to use hadith, and so on. But we'll be back to these again, just to remember these points. Inshallah, we elaborate more on these issues. But the impact, it has a great impact even on the way how we understand hadith and how we understand the text. And as I told you before that, we back to for example, the example we used before, and the day of Jum'ah, for example, where we said that Imam yakhtub, yeah, if he's delivering his khutbah, Imam, whether it is permissible to pray Tahiyyat al-Masjid or no, yeah, it's a long debate for the last 15 centuries. So we're not expecting someone on TikTok to finish this and to say, no, this is the right. No, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, صح, صح? No, not at all. If for 15 centuries, great scholars, not TikTok scholars, were debating this, so of course, there is a room for this. صح? So there is a room for that, two different opinions, or three or four. But let's see how they use this, how they use they call it another, so to use the intellect here. So they say, for example, okay, we have this hadith in Sahih Muslim that the companion came to when he entered to the mosque, and the Prophet ﷺ was delivering his khutbah, and he said, قُمْ فَصَلِّ فَإِنَّكَ لَمْ تُصَلِّ. Stand up, pray, because you did not pray. Assalamu alaikum. What can we do? What can we do? So, we have to have the method of Malik radiallahu anhu. Imam Malik, he used to have security officers with them. Halawat, huh?
Electric shock.
Yeah. We're just joking. We don't need halawat here. No. So when this companion entered the masjid, he was a Bedouin actually. Yeah, the Prophet ﷺ told him, stand up, pray, because he did not pray. That's the hadith for those who advocate for that you have to pray Tahiyat al-Masjid, even if the Imam is delivering his khutbah. I'm not taking any side, by the way, but just saying things, how they refute this. So the other school, they would say, no, this hadith is for us. How? They say, okay, this companion, when he entered the masjid and he stayed, what he did? He sat. He said, that was then, we can conclude from this, that was the practice at the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ at the time. Because if it was not the practice, it doesn't make sense that he sat, then he would pray. And they said, okay, he may forget. Okay, they said, okay, we can, okay. He forgot at that day. But the hadith mentioned that 3 times, and the next Jum'ah, the Prophet ﷺ, it's called Sulaik al-Ghatafani. His name was Sulaik al-Ghatafani. So Sulaik, for the second Jum'ah, he did the same thing. He sat. So they said, if Sulaik would forget, well, he didn't forget. He would not actually forget for the second Jum'ah. But we agree with you that for the second time, he forgot. But the hadith would say, فَأَقَامَهُ فِي الثَّالِثَةِ. And the third Jum'ah, the Prophet ﷺ did tell him the same thing. قُمْ صَلِّ فَإِنَّكَ لَمْ تُصَلِّ. Then they said, no. Then that was the practice then of the people of Medina. Then when the Prophet ﷺ used to deliver his khutbah, you have to sit, you don't pray. So using the Russian, refuting them. The others, of course, they refuted this. They need to bring another hadith from Sahih Muslim and so on. But my point, again, is not to say this is right or this is wrong. My point is to see how you use the hadith. You may think that this hadith is for you, but the other school would use this hadith against you. You think that this hadith for me. No, that's against you. You see how they understand. This is what our scholars, they said, Dalil is not the text. He said, okay, do this and this. And he said, what is your dalil? What is your proof? They said, dalil is not the text. A dalil is what you understand from the text. This is the dalil. Because I can use the text with 2 different dalils. And this is the case. Those, they said, Sulaik al-Ghatafani, the Prophet ﷺ told him, pray, come to pray, that's our dalil. And they said, the rest says, no, this is not dalil for you, this is for us. Because he sat first. Then we understand that that was the practice, that's it. So this is, what do you get from the hadith is the dalil. This is what some scholars said. This is not the nas itself, not the text, the legal text, whether in the Quran or in the hadith. So this is how this method started at that time, developing through the years and because of the transmission of hadith at the beginning, by the way, not because of the fiqh. And then the fuqaha, the jurists, they use this method later on. By the way, some people may think the other way around. No, it's actually thanks to Ahlul Hadith, to people of Hadith, who developed this methods of critical thinking, analyzing all this to get to a sound narration. And then the jurists would say, oh, okay, let's apply what these people are doing. And we will see this, what happened with al-Bukhari and so on. And we will see when we come to Sahih al-Bukhari, how can we get the opinion, the fiqh opinion of al-Bukhari? How can we get it? The way how he used the wording, the title of the chapter, this is exactly his own choice, his own madhab. We come to this. So, Madrasat al-Iraq, usually known as Madrasatu Ra'i, an opinion. Yeah. Again, they use the hadith also, they use the Quran. But mainly they use the hadith and this, plus, because again, you are in a city, you are in a cosmopolitan city, so many schools, you have so many philosophies, you have the Majus, you have the Christians, you have the Jewish community. But in Medina, what do you have? Alhamdulillah, you don't have anyone. Yeah, you have 100% the cream of the cream. You don't need to worry much. This is what they used to call Ahlul Athar, Ahlul al-Medina. We have only 5 minutes to finish. We're not going to take much. I decided to do only 40 minutes, no more than this. It's too much. So what we can say, based on this, that the ones who started using a clear method, it is there, are the successors of the successors. Tabi'u tabi'un, the followers of the followers. This is how this clear method of analyzing the narrations and checking whether this narration is sound or or fabricated, or there is a hidden defect there. So it's by tabi'. However, we said this is started well at the time of the companions, and you can see it in tabi'in. But if we can say that there is a clear methodology, it started with this tabi'un. One thing that these tabi'un used to use a clear method on in a way that they were very strict. They don't, for example, say, no, because he is the student of Abu Huraira or he's such and such, so let's be easy with this scholar, let's be easy with this student. Well, you cannot criticize so and so, you cannot say bad things about so and so. No, it was clear method for them, for everyone needs to be both to this method, to this criteria, and then we start ticking 1, 2, 3. If you fulfilling this criteria, then you can pass. If not, you stay there. So that, and we will see how this later on. It started with Sha'bi, as we said, and the main thing here, it's not because you are, in terms of hadith, if you are not a liar, the first thing, if the narrator is not liar, if the narrator has a very good memory, they call dhabt. So they would, if you narrate the hadith and then they compare your hadith with 100 others, they see the same wording. They see the same wording. And sometimes you may say, oh, this is not, well, it doesn't sound logical, it doesn't sound right, but it was, as we said, it was the norm of the Arabian society, and not only the Arabian society, by the way. I remember one of our shuyukh who actually used to memorize a book of fiqh in the Maliki fiqh called the Mudawwana. It's 5 volumes. You know, just to memorize just a book, 5 volumes. Wallahi, he memorized this by heart. He may change the letter wa with the letter fa only. Instead of saying wa qala, said faqala. That's it. But the rest is by heart. And that's recent. It's not just the last year, 89, 91. Just here. For that Arabian society, it was the norm to memorize, to check. So for them, again, and we've seen this before with Urwa ibn Zubayr and Aisha, when she asked him, she said, go to Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As because he narrated a lot from the Prophet ﷺ. And he gave him this long hadith, remember the hadith. And then the next year, she did the same thing with him. She said, because when she heard that, she doubted. Well, she didn't hear that from the Prophet ﷺ, and she doubted. She didn't say that he's not saying, but I didn't hear the Prophet ﷺ saying this. So the next year, the next Hajj, 1 year, she said, go and check with Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As. So he went and he gave him the same hadith with the same wording. When he back to Aisha, he narrated that hadith. He said, MashaAllah, لم يسقط منه حرفا. He did not miss any letter from this. This to show you 2 things, by the way. Not only the ability of Abdullah ibn Umar, the ability of Aisha. She memorized every single letter and she remembered for 1 year. She said, لم يسقط. He did not miss any letter. Then take from him. That's the criteria. That's it. No. It's just from his memory. It was very well known this to the Arabs and the Arabian society and even within later on. This is just gone or just after when the empire gets paper from China, like now getting from China, same thing, you know, the Umayyad when they got paper from China, and they corrupt the memory of students. And Imam Malik, when he finished his book Al-Muwatta, his students back to him after 4 days. This is also to show you the ability of the students. They memorized the whole Muwatta. Muwatta, it has more than, I think, about 600 hadith with all these narrations and all this. And they memorized him within 3 days. And he got angry and he said, كتاب ألفته في 30 سنة. So a book that I spent 30 years and you memorized in 3 days. ما أقل ما تفقهون. He said, what is your fiqh? So for him, again, now you see the concept now are changing. And we will see these again. So many things we need to mention here, by the way, through our journey, inshallah. This. He said, ما أقل ما تفقهون. For Malik, it's not to memorize, it's to understand. I said, you memorize in 3 days. And I spent 30 years. Yeah, he started his muwatta like this, and then shrinking his muwatta, thousands of ahadith, and then every year, just 600 hadith. Same with al-Bukhari. And this ability of some students of Shafi'i, he memorized the Muwatta 24 hours. That's it. 24 hours, he memorized the whole Muwatta. Well, this is not 1,000 night and night. This is reality. Yeah. So he memorized. But Imam Malik said, ما أقل ما تفقهون. Where is your fiqh here? He memorized all hadith, but where is the fiqh? He did not get from these hadith. So this is what these scholars actually and these muhaddithun were actually establishing a whole methodology which later on is going to affect all the disciplines, all the subjects in the Islamic teaching. One of our scholars, one of our great scholars in fiqh, someone who said, I used to give fatwa for 30 years from the book of Sibawayh. Sibawayh, he is grammarians, who is the godfather of grammar, Arabic grammar. He wrote a book called Al-Kitab in the Arabic grammar, Al-Kitab. And this book, till now, people are commenting on this book, till now. And as someone who is expert in Arabic, not if you start your Arabic or start learning, even if you're doing masters in Arabic, you cannot read Al-Kitab of Sibawayh. It has to be something after PhD and finishing all the grammar, then you get to Sibawayh. But this guy, this faqih, this jurist said, for 30 years, I was issuing fatwas from Sibawayh. And you wonder, this is a book of grammar. It's nothing to do with fiqh. Then they asked him how. He said the methodology. The way how Sibawayh constructing the Arabic grammar, I used the same method, the same understanding, the same approach I used in fiqh. I used to go to Sibawayh, read, and then I would go to the books of fiqh. You see how this is what is, we sometimes even in our modern era, we don't understand this, that all these disciplines are like this. Well, you cannot go and read, you say, I'm expert on hadith, you read 2 hadith, 3 hadith, and you are sheikh. And you cannot read one book in grammar and you are sheikh. Or you memorize the Quran by heart and you say, Qari, mashallah, he's Qari, it's a beautiful voice, and you start giving fatwa. No. These disciplines are serving each other. Like this, like this. And this is why you have in our biographies of our scholars, al-faqih, al-alim, al-muhaddith, al-adib, al-sha'ir, the jurist, the muhaddith, the mufassir, the poet, the astronomist. This great Ibn Rushd, they said, كان يفزع إلى فتواه في الفقه كما يفزع إلى فتواه في الطب. People would consult him in fiqh, same as they consult him in medicine. Ibn Rushd, Andalusian. So it works like this. Not like, again, that's the crisis of knowledge in our era now, unfortunately. And I would say it starts just after the colonial powers took over the Muslim world and disconnect the traditional knowledge. This is where we used to get in mosques and people may say, no, it's during the 18th century there was a decline. There was no decline. People was reading a very complex books, by the way, because you may get these from these Orientalists and from these our people who just corrupted by this Western approach. And even some of our, they claim that belongs to Sharia and so on. This is how it used to be. And then when these colonial power, when they invaded the Muslim world, they saw exactly where is the weakest link is to disconnect these people from the traditional knowledge. When you can find someone, the book of Sibawayh we have nowadays in Timbuktu. In Timbuktu, we have over 40 manuscript commentaries on the book of Sibawayh in Timbuktu in Mali. And when you say in Timbuktu now, if you say Timbuktu to someone, you think this wak, this doesn't exist. And imagine, is this Alice in the Wonderland, or what they call? Wallahi, yes. Our youth, they don't know. They say Timbuktu is something, it doesn't exist. It was center of knowledge for centuries and centuries. For centuries and centuries. Now, I actually consulted myself and I counted more than 42 commentaries not published until now. We're not talking about hadith, we're not talking about fiqh, and then when the French invaded Mali and they burned all these great libraries of manuscripts, and then they got, disconnect Africa from, what happened. That's again another series of lectures. We should be aware of our history, and our tradition in all these places. The great scholar, this Sidi Ahmed Baba Timbuktu, such a great Maliki scholar. He's from Timbuktu. He was a judge there in 1235 Gregorian calendar, and he was captured by the king of Morocco, one of these tragedies of our Muslim Ummah also, and he was captured and chained, and they took him all this way from Mali, from Timbuktu in his chain, walking to Fez. I don't know if you know the geography, but walking from Mali, crossing all Algeria. Algeria is 1,300 kilometers, 2,000 kilometers, and then it goes to the west. So he actually crossed over 3,500 kilometers on foot. This great judge, Sidi Ahmed Baba Timbuktu. And when he arrived there to Fez, the great city of knowledge in Morocco, and they saw this black man, and they thought he's a slave. But when he started talking, they realized, the scholars, they realized this is a great scholar that never ever heard someone, some eloquent in his Arabic, such Sidi Ahmed Baba Timbuktu. And then they asked the king, Mulay Ahmed, to release him. And no, he was there in the prison. At the time he was there, he was delivering commentaries on the books of fiqh, books of tafsir, books of Arabic. And he issued a long fatwa, very famous fatwa on the slavery that was going on at that time in Africa. And that people, tribes would go to another tribe and they take them slaves and then sell them. This series of fatwas, it was actually more than 55 fatwas issued by Sidi Ahmed Baba Timbuktu. They used actually by the Americans, by the founding fathers in the States, to get rid of the slavery, based on what Sidi Ahmed Baba Timbuktu said. Yeah, this is happening in 1838. And I was telling this to one of my MA students who's doing research on this. He said, wow, this is our history. This is our history. SubhanAllah. And we don't know anything about these people. And why? Again, because those great scholars used to be great scholars in everything. In everything. Sayyid Ahmed Baba Timbuktu, he was very well known for his knowledge about the history of Africa. Bilad Sud, they called it. It's such an amazing scholar. But again, so that's the impact, what happened, that's the impact of the beginning of school of hadith and other disciplines. We'll continue, inshallah, next week. If you don't have question, we'll finish now. I said 40 minutes. Yeah.
What you have said about the break
has answered a question that we have in a place like Nigeria.
Yeah.
Because before we were colonized in Nigeria, we had Muslims who used to write in Arabic.
Yeah.
But after they came, that seemed to have been completely wiped out.
Yeah, like.
And what you hear now is that the colonialists brought education to Nigeria.
I mean, the great Sultan of Nigeria, Uthman bin Fudi, used to write. He was more than 40. He was actually the first one who writes about the political principles of the state in Islam. Uthman bin Fudi from Nigeria, who was Sultan himself. Yeah, and he commented on the book of Siyasa Sharia of Ibn Taymiyyah, where at the time no one knows about Ibn Taymiyyah at all. At the time, Sheikh Uthman bin Fudi, and the same with the Asqiya Muhammad, who established his great empire on the consultancy of Muhammad ibn Abdul Karim al-Maghili. This is, I guess, why Abdul Karim is well known there as a name, based to Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Karim. Yeah. Unfortunately, this we need. Even sometimes they call about decolonizing. I joke with my students sometimes. They say, "Where are you from?" They have to say this in Arabic, like Bangladeshi would say, "I'm from Salat," and this is not Salat. Salat, this is in English. In Arabic, say Silhat, and we have a Silhati. We have so many great scholars affiliating to Silhati, and the same thing. You say Delhi. We don't say Delhi in Arabic. We say Dehli. And we have the great scholar, Shah Wali Allah al-Dahlawi. And I tell them, don't say Delhi, I'm from Delhi. Ana min Delhi, I'm from Dehli. So you have to change. And they're actually amazed when I say, the first one who talks about Bangladesh, Ibn Battuta, who provides us with a long passage. He went there, Biladul Bengal, and he described such a great narration and narrative, about Bangladesh. We don't learn. That's the problem. These colonial powers, they were able to disconnect the past from the present. This is what's happening. And unless if we bring back this knowledge again and this way of learning, and this is why I say many times, and I don't get fed up by repeating these again and again, to have a student of knowledge, someone who wants to be in this path, that memorizing the Quran is not necessary for Talib al-Ilm. I would say this is the great bid'ah of our era. And this is because of these colonial powers. I've never ever, and I've been in these fields for the last 38 years, I've never ever been to any country, to any place. I've never ever found any profile of any scholars say that he's not memorizing the Quran. This was they said Sheikh Muhammad. They said the first thing they start, Hafidh al-Quran, Hafidh al-Quran, Hafidh al-Quran. This is how it starts. Even these philosophers, they consider them as Mubtadi'a and so on, Avicenna and Ibn Sina. They started with the Quran. And where did we get this? Sometimes you wonder, even fellow Muslims with beard, with qamis, and they say in this, they say, no, there is no, it's not necessary to memorize the Quran. Where did you get this? We get from France, from the British colonial, we get from French, we get from Portuguese, we get this from Spanish. This is where we get, honestly, wallahi. If you need to be someone in the field of Sharia, Islamic sciences, then the first thing to do is to memorize the Quran. Full stop, salam alaikum. If you don't want to be a student of knowledge, you cannot memorize the Quran Be in the AI, whatever they call it. AI or AI. Both. So, finish.
Honest, what you said is a very serious issue. Been amongst people that they were saying that memorizing Quran is not something very important. That why do if people can read Quran? Yes, it is a big issue in some part of
Yeah.
people that believe that we don't have to learn memorize Quran.
That's
I wanted to ask a question regarding you. As this when people say is like what you refer to Sulaik when it came to the mosque and Zahra mosque. The question I want to ask is what does the Prophet does and the Sahaba
both.
when they come to a mosque do they do it?
This is why. That's if we know, then the issue is gone. Yeah.
The Sahaba in the Khulafa al-Rashidin, do they
We don't, Allahu Alam, we don't know because we have equal tools. This school has strong, this school. So I don't find from the wisdom that if I'm sitting there and someone would come and sit and I would tell him, no, sit, pray. Or I do the other way, and if someone sits, I would tell him, no, go and pray. No, it's up to you. If you pray, alhamdulillah, you pray. If you don't, you sit. Two of these, they did what? The sunnah. The one who sits is practicing the sunnah. And the one who stands, he is also practicing sunnah. Simply. So, khalas, yeah, we need to understand this. Because if we know which one is stronger, Assalamu alaikum, then this gone. Then, exactly, then these 15 centuries. And I always say this, if you find an issue, take this, again, I've been in this for long enough to say such thing like this. If you find an issue that has been disputed by schools of fiqh for the last 14 centuries, then take any position. You are following the sunnah. That's it. Simply. Because we cannot claim at any circumstance that our modern scholars are more knowledgeable than scholars. Never ever. Forget about this. Never ever. We conclude with this, yeah? We told you this before. This woman who came to this scholar asking for fatwa, and the scholar told her, do you need me to give you this fatwa according, because she was a Shafi'i, she belongs to the madhab of the Shafi'i. She said, the guy, the scholar, I would say the guy, yeah, told her, do you want me to give you fatwa according to the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, or according to the school of Shafi'i, the opinion of Shafi'i? So the lady, was wise lady, she told him, no, I need you to give me a fatwa according to the understanding, to the opinion of Shafi'i. It's like now, do you condemn? That's the question. So he was shocked. And she said, do you know why I'm saying this? Because I trust the understanding of a Shafi'i, of the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, more than I trust your understanding to the Sunnah. She's not actually following the opinions. No. So if I take the understanding of Shafi'i here, and the understanding of a modern scholar, myself, I would go for Shafi'i. Even this modern, whatever the school belongs to the school, any school of fiqh, of course I follow the Shafi'i. I follow Malik. I follow a scholar from the 18th century better than the one from 20th century. And I follow a scholar from the 15th century better than because the closer, and what we're talking about now, these scholars, ask me, we graduate from university 4 years. You don't, you know what they call it now, Mickey Mouse degrees. This is what we had in this Islamic university, all over the Arab world, all over the Muslim world, by the way. Don't take the name. You say, he studied at such and such. I don't want to name any institution. It's Mickey Mouse degrees. You know Mickey Mouse degrees now. They said don't go. Just take some. Exactly. This is what's happening in the Shar'i kulliyat. If you don't take your knowledge from shuyukh, this is the crisis of knowledge now happening. So whatever it is, he's a PhD. He has a PhD on so and so. Don't be shocked. Salam alaikum.
You said that for someone to be a scholar, they have to learn the Quran. I will also add that.
No, not scholar. No. Student.
Student.
Scholar is a lot of things.
Sorry, I want to add that some people feel that letting their children learn Quran affects their academic ability. I will say it's the opposite.
That's all.
If your child learns Quran, they'll be even
Good.
better.
That's the barakah.
In Western language. And I've seen it with my own.
Yeah. That's everywhere. صح.
Sheikh, this is a kind of recommendation. At least I will try and, if you can do it for us, if you can compile all these historical events that has taken place, probably we can arrange section for it as well. And then probably we can arrange such classes like this.
For history.
Historical.
Inshallah.
It's just for our children.
Yeah.
And then to be well recorded so that we can play it today at some point.
Yeah, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت نستغفرك ونتوب اليك. السلام عليكم. جزاكم الله خير. Sorry for the delays. I intend to do 40 minutes.
I'm spelling right, the book of Sibawayh.
Yeah, Sibawayh. Yeah, it's like this. Yeah.
The name of the sheikh you said that.
Ahmed Baba Timbuktu.
Is the one that was taken from Morocco,
Yeah.
King.
Sidi Ahmed Baba Timbuktu. You know, in the Black Month.
Yeah, Black on history. They said.
Black Month, I'll tell you. I did about Sheikh Ahmed Baba Timbuktu.
Do you have the video for it?
They actually students, and I had 4 Jamaicans actually converted because of the story of Sidi Ahmed Baba. And they said we didn't know about the history of Africa like this.
Wait, do you have it recorded?
I'll ask the students. That's why 4 years ago.
Please.
Yeah, Sheikh Ahmed Baba.
Jazakumullah khair, Sheikh.
Yes.
They've knocked them down.
Look at what they've done in Northern Nigeria.